Hi, everybody. So the goal of this video is to speak about version control, not only in your microservices application, but in your Oracle database too. For this demo, I use Flyway, a very nice open source product. And as you see on the screen, with Flyway, I know that now my schema is in version 1.2. But my main problem is that I'm not able to have at the same time a schema in version 1.2 and a schema in version 1. And it means that I cannot did a test like a canary release where I want to have 90% of people using the version 1 and 10% of the people using the schema in version 1.2. Except if I used a very nice feature called edition-based redefinition, EBR. This is a feature of Oracle Database Enterprise Edition. With this feature, you are able to have a version for all the objects of your schema in, for example, my autonomous database, except with table. A table is not an editionable object. So it means the only constraint you have as a developer is to use a view. So for each table, you must create a view. It's not a very strong constraint, really. It's easy. And then using Flyway and EBR, you are able to have at the same time the schema in version 1.2 and the schema in version 1. And I will show you a demo with that point, a very important point. So I have an autonomous database that is running, it's okay. And I have a Kubernetes cluster running on Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. All is okay. I have two versions of the quiz service, one version in version 1.0.4, this is a version 1, and one version with version 1.2. As you see, it's very easy to say to the microservices, use this version of my schema. Doing that, alter session set edition equal v1.2. My application is seeing the schema in version 1.2. Using Oracle SQL Developer, if I do that, set edition v1, and I refresh the view, I see the v quiz view with two fields, ID and name. And now I just run alter session set edition equal v1.2. I refresh the view and I see another field called details. So using this instruction in the init SQL of my DB pool connection of my microservice, I am able to tell version 1 microservice use version 1 of the schema in my autonomous DB, and version 1.2 of my microservice use version 1.2 of my schema in the autonomous DB. Okay, just looking at my two application, my two version of microservices running, quiz service, version 1.2, version 1. And you see, when I call the version 1, I do not see details, so I don't see detail. There, I see the new field, details. So it's very nice. And now, if I deploy this application to my Kubernetes cluster, okay, I can call a new service called Quiz Aggregator that is calling itself quiz. And if I use the canary release This is a property of Istio service mesh. Then you will see each time that I call the quiz aggregator, this quiz aggregator request quiz, and I have 20% of the request going here on the V1 and only 10% of the request going here on V1.2. What is very interesting is that I have here this version of the microservices that uses the V1.2 of the database, and this V1 using the schema in version 1. So a very, very nice feature that allowed me to do a canary release and to test the new version that is more risky. This version 1.2 is more risky than the version 1. And so I just sent 10% of the user on these microservices. And mainly in my database, in my autonomous database, I am able to see the two versions of my schema in relation with the two versions of my microservices. So a very nice architecture. When you see here, what you see here, is the ability to manage and to version control the schema in Oracle DB and mainly there in an autonomous database, and to manage the schema in relation with the version of the microservices. It means I can deploy the two versions of the microservices. Each microservices works with its own schema version in the database. So very, very nice feature that helps a lot to deploy new microservices in production, to do test and to do a canary release. Thank you very much for your attention. Bye-bye.